The Plotcast podcast with the Potty Plotters.
Hello and welcome back to the Potty Plotters Plotcast podcast. This is episode 50 and well done! Yay! And I'm still Julia.
And I'm still Elaine.
Yeah, and we've got through Christmas. Did you have a good one, Elaine?
It was blooming lovely. Yeah, I haven't given anybody a loofah. I kept all the seeds for talks in the future next year, which obviously were available for. And we love giving away things like that and making people plant them. So that was my big thing. Games.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Points mean prizes. Not in my house, it doesn't. No. So still got lots of things that we can do.
Competitive, aren't you?
Yes, actually, particularly when I'm the game's mistress.
Oh.
Let me tell you. So, yeah, it was good. Nobody cries, only my husband every now and again, with laughter. With laughter. What the hell is she doing now? But I like doing naughty things at Christmas. In fact, I like doing naughty things all year round. Yeah, what about you? How did you go on?
It was a quiet one, but it was fun. It was nice to spend time with the family, which normally we don't get to do. I know. We don't normally see the family, do we? We're always down the plot or doing something else, going out doing talks or helping out on community plots. So it's actually nice to see my family and remember what they look like.
So you didn't have to use an E50 as to identification?
No.
That's helpful.
They still recognised me. So, but now we're back to it. And although this is kind of just before New Year, isn't it? So Happy New Year to anybody who's listening in advance.
Yeah.
And we are now going to catch up on some of our best bits. I don't even know if we've got any best bits, Elaine.
Gareth, when you say go and have a look through the best bits, what exactly were you hoping for?
Funny bits.
Oh.
Yeah. No, you know the bits where you give really, really good advice.
Ooh. I don't know if I picked them out.
No.
Okay. Anyway, we've got to get over that bit we always struggle with. So over to you.
Oh, bloody neck. Right, okay then. So if you want to contact us, we are on Facebook, Instagram and X, formerly known as Twitter, at Potty Plotters. TikTok at The Potty Plotters. Email us. Lots of people do that.
Yes.
Naughty Corner, I think that's why. But it's naughtycorner at pottyplotters.uk or check out our website, pottyplotters.uk.
Yeah, and if you want to email us, tell us what you had for Christmas that was useful down the plotter in your garden, because I'm intrigued as to what people have had for Christmas.
And I want to know if anybody has actually grown their own Christmas dinner.
Oh. Well, they must have somewhere in the country, mustn't they? Mm-hmm. We didn't, because it all went wrong, didn't it? We got flooded and,
Yeah, we're still underwater.
I did carrots.
Yeah.
That was nice.
Parsnips, superb.
Yeah.
Suddenly, producer Gareth takes a dive under the table. Doesn't like parsnips.
No, I know.
Don't really like Brussels.
Never mind.
Not that keen on cabbage, but he'll eat it if it's put on his plate.
Yeah.
Likes roast potatoes as long as they're not disguised.
No beetroot.
No beetroot. Puddings, don't like mincemeat. Don't really like a lot, does he?
No.
The Plotcast podcast with the Potty Plotters.
Elaine, we started this nearly a year ago.
Yeah.
And very early on in our adventure into podcast land, we got chatting about tools for the plot. I don't know if you remember that far back. Can you remember that far back?
I do, yeah.
And you got your knitting needles out, which is always curious on an allotment.
Yeah.
And I explained why getting the right tool to fit the right size is very important.
And size does matter.
It definitely does.
I've got my mum's old knitting needles.
Are you going to do some knitting while I'm talking?
That
makes a change.
Not very good at knitting, but what I can tell you is that when my mum passed away, and my auntie actually, I asked if I could have their knitting needles because they'd got loads and loads of them. They were really both very good at knitting.
Oh, and what are you going to do with them, Elaine?
Right, well, I can tell you that these are fantastic as row markers. Now, you know I am obsessed with doing rows.
You do. You've kind of hammered it into me, really.
I have, but I just think it comes in really handy. And later into the season when we're on the plots, not on weather like today, but definitely in the future, all that I do is I tie a piece of string, of which I've got in front of me. So I shall just unravel this. I've only got it for a demo, but I'm going to tie a knot round one piece of the rope or string round a knitting needle. And then what you do is you carry it round right the way to the next knitting needle. Put either one in either end, and that will form your row. And what I do is I plant along the row, and that way when seeds germinate, such as carrots, I know that they are carrots rather than weeds.
Oh, that's a good money-saving tip there, Elaine, because I see them often in charity shops and they're in bundles for about 50p, and that's a lot cheaper than buying them from the garden centre.
And they never rot.
Never
rot. They don't bend. They're absolutely brilliant. So not only would I say about using knitting needles, but I do it with cutlery as well. Not that's out of the kitchen drawer, but I have got lots of knives and forks that I use as markers too. So again, they don't actually rot. So put one in one side, one in the other. Brilliant.
Brilliant idea. So Elaine, other things that we're going to talk about, tools that you might need on the plot when you're starting out. So what would you say are essentials? What would you go out and buy? And what would you say to people, just leave it for later on? What would you use?
I'd certainly buy myself a spade, a hoe and a rake. And the reason that I would buy those is because I'm a lot taller than you, and I would buy them specific for my height.
Yeah, at the allotment site, we get a lot of people giving old tools, which are great, aren't they? Some of them are really, really nice and obviously have been looked after. But when you're doing your allotmenting, you actually need something to suit your size and the weight of it. So, for example, your spade that you use, there's no way I could even lift it, whereas my spade that I've gone and bought, which is a very small person's spade, which you can buy, is like a spoon to you, really. You know, you'd have your breakfast off it, wouldn't you?
Yes, I can't argue with that. And it's the same with the rake. The handle on my rake is so long, it would probably cause you a mischief if you actually tried to lift it. So yes, everything has its size, and it's important to get the right size.
Yeah, and the hoe that you mentioned is really useful because, as we know, the most important job on the allotment, once you've turned it over, is to keep on top of the weeds. And the best way to do that is hoe, hoe, hoe. So you need a really sharp, very suited to your size, again, hoe. And I would definitely go out and buy myself one of those rather than necessarily have a second-hand one. It really is, if that's where your money's going, that's what I would spend it on. And if you want to hear the full episode, go back to the very beginning, and they were both in episode 3.
The Plotcast Podcast with the Potty Plotters.
Okay, then moving on.
Okay.
So, both of us love growing tomatoes.
We do. We do. And it was your Red Robin tomatoes that...
Did I talk about them?
You never shut... Did she, Gareth? She never shut up about them Red Robin tomatoes.
Like she's besotted with them.
Yeah, it was some kind of obsession. I mean, if you've heard us when we go out and do talks, that's all she talks about. Red Robin. You've got to buy a Red Robin tomato. Anyway, and they were a bit of a triumph for you, Elaine, but you gave Gareth one and it all went a bit wrong. So what did you do to Gareth's?
It's all in the growing, and this year coming up we are going to start again, and he's out of remedial class and he's going into learners.
Oh,
yeah. And one of the first things that we are going to do is to monitor and manage what he does with his tomatoes, because it was quite simple that he just put it in the wrong place.
No, I think it was sabotage. Gareth, I think she gave you something that wasn't a Red Robin.
I think you might be right. I did exactly as she told me to. I put it in the windowsill. I watered it. It had like 4 tomatoes off it.
Yeah. And it touched the ceiling when she said it was only going to get...
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
That's because it was reaching for light. That's what happened with me.
Anyway, let's catch up on this lot where Elaine talks about Red Robin tomatoes. And here we have some breaking news.
Do you remember my red robin tomatoes?
Can we forget your red robin tomatoes?
No, because if you remember, we set them very early. I had the first flush of fruit off them.
Yes.
And then I remember saying to you when the Alicante and Shirley and the Belladines and all the rest of them were taking over, I said, right, I'm going to cut these down, that's it, and then I shall shake off all the compost and put that onto the raised beds. Well, if you remember, I watered them, then left them, and they started to grow again. And I've never had that with any tomatoes, not like that. But I can tell you that I have got fruit that has turned.
Oh, well done. Can I just claim a little bit of that? Because while
you can't, because that's mine.
Well, while you were poorly, I went in and watered them for you because I was...
Once.
Twice.
You were twice. Right, okay. That's your claim, is it? That you looked after them? Well, thanks for that.
That's still my victory, though, isn't it, as well? Anyway.
Right, okay.
So you've got tomatoes on those, so that's great.
Yeah, you wait there and I'll just go and get them. No, I'm going now. You just tell me I'll wait there. Now then. Now here is my red robin tomatoes.
Oh, yeah.
And although the plant itself isn't very tall, look.
It's got a 4 on it. Yeah, it's got a 4 on it.
Yeah.
2 orange, 2 green.
Turning.
Yeah.
Who would have thought that?
While you were going off there and fetching it, we want to know what happened to Gareth. Do you remember that one that you rescued from his house?
Yeah.
What happened to it?
Well, anyway, it's a crime scene.
So we don't think it was the red robin.
It was very difficult to look after. And next year what we learn is don't give him any plants. What we'll do is we'll just grow the tomatoes and give him the tomatoes. It's much easier. Cut the middle bit out. So do you have to have an allotment then to grow your own fruit, veg, salad and all the rest of it?
No, I mean, we've grown in all kinds of things, haven't we? But one of your favourite things to grow in is the wheelbarrow. And I know that you go round hunting wheelbarrows and telling people that their wheelbarrows are broken if you haven't got one, so you can have it off them.
Well, I just think that they are dead good to grow in because they're off the floor, so they're away from slugs. We have never, ever had a meal barrow, which is a wheelbarrow, but it's called something different because we grow meals in them. We've never had any slug damage. You can water them. It contains the water, but they've all got holes in the bottom. Not a bad thing for any bottom, let me tell you. But it is one of those things, Julia, that I think is really undermined completely by people perhaps on the telly. Why don't we get everybody having a go at a meal barrow next year?
That's a good idea. And if you want to listen back to episode 11, where Elaine is planting up the meal barrow. Now, this was quite funny because it was raining. So I sat in the tangerinery and watched her.
Well, it is a meal in a barrow. It's as simple as that. And not everybody has an allotment. Not everybody's got a big garden, Julia. So what I want people to do is to start and think about the spaces that they have got. And invariably, they will have an old wheelbarrow or know somebody that has had one. Perhaps builders nearby have had one. I'm not saying nick it because I don't want you to do that. Or it might be that they are dumping one of their old barrows. And all you need to do is capture it, kidnap it, fill it, and then we're going to eat the contents. That's what we're going to do today.
Not nick it.
Don't nick it. Don't get your finger out at me like that neither. Okay then. But if you've got an old barrow, let's use it. Now, in order to talk about it, I actually need to move outside.
Get out then.
But what I do need to do is to remind people how important it is to use some of the things that we've been talking about in recycling in the past. Now then, if you go back to episode 3 on old tools as well, you will find that we talked about the old barrows, we talked about knives and forks, and we talked about my mum's knitting needles too, I think.
There's nothing safe around you, is there?
No, not generally.
Knitting needles, cutlery. What do you eat with at home?
Teeth, doesn't everybody? Right then, I'm going to go outside. But, Julia, you can watch me from the window, so you don't have to come outside and get cold.
That's what I was thinking. I was thinking I'm lovely and warm in here in the tangerinery, but I can see you, so off you go.
If you'd like Elaine and Julia to come to a talk for your group, get in touch. naughtycorner@pottyplotters.uk.
Well, Elaine, you do like a big one, don't you?
I do.
And in this next clip, she talks about setting her cucumbers. But they didn't work out quite to plan, did they, Elaine?
You know, I can't remember anything of mine not working to plan.
Well, let me tell you, you like your telegraph improved because they grow so big. And gosh, it's only been the summer. What's happened to you?
Oh, well, it's been a long year since then.
Well, anyway, your cucumbers didn't turn out like telegraph improved. They were much shorter and fatter and lighter in colour, and we thought they were Deli Star or some other variety. So even though I'd actually witnessed you getting them out of the seed packet, they definitely weren't the variety that you thought you were planting.
Now, Julia, you know I like a long one.
You do. In fact, you show it off quite frequently, don't you?
I do. It's just, I'm fascinated how they grow, the way that they grow, and why it is that, like, they don't explode. Why is it that cucumbers just carry on growing? Why don't they just, like, grow fat and explode? But they don't, do they? They just grow very long and beautiful. I think they're quite an art.
But if you leave them too long, they do go white and horrible and seedy.
Well, they might do in your greenhouse, but we eat them generally, Julia, so we
Actually,
don't.
You don't. You put them in your gin.
I do, yeah. Or cucumber gin. Now, that's a recipe that we will share with people because, again, it is so easy and so beautiful. And we're not far off summer now, so let's think about how to make cucumber gin in perhaps a few more episodes. Yeah. But first of all, we've got to create them. So in front of me here, I have got a packet, and these are telegraph improved. I've used them so many years. I just think that they're infallible. I've never had a problem with them, and I just adore them. I love cucumber. So what I'm going to do is I've got a packet here, and I'm just going to open them. Inside, there'll be another little packet. It's like pass the parcel, but there's nothing really
You've not passed
else.
anything to me, though, have you?
No, you don't want these, not yet. So I'm just opening the packet here. And inside, there's loads and loads of seeds. I lied about loads and loads because there's about 25.
Oh, how much did they cost you, Elaine?
I think they were about £2. Oh. Now, they are quite expensive in comparison to a lot of other seeds, but the good thing is that there's loads of them. Now, if you bear in mind that I probably will only need 3 plants, that's all. But the others I can give away. And these, as I say, are fantastic, I think, fantastic value for the amount of fruit that you get off them. So, in front of me here, I've prepared one earlier, like old Blue Peter style, and I've got a cell tray, and here I've got 6 cells. And the cucumber seeds themselves are, now then, you can do it in proper language. To me, that's about 1/2 inch.
Yeah, that's about 1/2 inch.
OK, I thought you were going to come out with centimetres or
something.
Well, it's
about a centimetre, yeah.
Right, about a centimetre?
About a centimetre is 1/2 inch.
Is it really?
Something like that, yeah.
Are you making that up? Right, OK. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to push only twice the depth of the seed. That's how far I'm pushing it down. But this seed is considered to be quite big, which it is when you consider the onion seeds, petunia seeds, all those kind are incy-wincy ones. These actually are quite big, so they need to be laid on their side, not on their back. And that's simply so that the water can run straight over them rather than settle and rot on them, OK? So
you're sowing 6 seeds at the moment, and you only need 3 for yourself.
Yeah.
But even 3 seems quite a lot for just you and your husband. So you're going to, if it was just a couple and they weren't like you making gin and everything else out of them, they'd only need 1, wouldn't they, really?
They would, but I think it's a great way of making friends. And in this day and age of austerity, you know, it's only cost me a couple of pound. I might as well set 6, hadn't I? If necessary, give them away, you can sell them, you can plant a few more, it doesn't matter. But I think there's always somebody who will no doubt come creeping over, like Kev Plot 2, and say that, can I have one of your plants? Because he knows how good I am at growing them.
The Plotcast Podcast with the Potty Plotters.
Couldn't remember. That's really funny. Time's just merging.
Yeah, they do. Well, since then, everything's been dug out, the greenhouses have been cleaned, and I'm sitting waiting for the next lot.
It's one of our favourites, it really is, but we've yet to convince producer Gareth of its merits and how absolutely delicious it is. What am I talking about?
Beetroot.
Obviously. So, whilst we both love it and we'll plant lots of it on our plots, we both have very different styles of planting this particular variety of vegetable, and it certainly brings out a competitive side of us. So it's a lovely May day, and we've come now onto my plot, and you can hear the mower in the background, the cutting around the site. And Elaine, we're now planting some beetroot. Now we've got different styles of doing that, haven't we?
Have we? Oh, yes. I actually shoved my finger in the soil and put one seedling in per hole, and you go clumpy.
I do. So, you get on with it. You get on with it and get down there.
If I get down here, I might not get up. I had a problem with my knee yesterday. Did mention my knee. Right, come on then.
Get down, come on.
Oh. Right then, off we go. So here's the tray that we grew earlier, and needless to say, we have got loads and loads of beetroot. So all I'm going to do, Julia, is in the multi-purpose compost is shove my hand in and then take each of the beetroot out, and you can see that it's quite floppy really, and that's okay because I'll just drop all the compost down there, and that is a really healthy seedling. You can see it's already got 2 leaves on it, and all I'm going to do is shove me fingers in your soil that is very compact, Julia, and then put my beetroot in and squash around it. That's it, ready for the next one. So the next one here is the next seedling, and all I'm doing is I'm planting them about every 4 inches, but I can't see what I'm doing because you've got a microphone in my face. Right, must get better at this.
Right, now that is going to take you ages and ages to get a few in.
I don't mind.
No, because once you're down, you might as well stay down. But I'm going to hand you the microphone and show you my easier method. Get your hands out of the compost then. Come on.
There, I've done
right.
3.
Lovely.
That'll keep you going.
Okay,
hold
microphone.
That. Oh, dear me, I've got muck all over this microphone.
Stay there, right. So I've got mine, and I use a clumping method. So all I'm going to do, I've set a tray, I've got 9 cells in it, and each cell has got 5 beetroot in it. And I'm just going to give the tray a squeeze, tip them out. And look at the root system there. That's lovely.
Yeah, perfect.
Dig a hole.
You're going a bit away from my line, Julia.
That's all right.
Is that all right?
I don't want to do your line. I'm just going to dob them anywhere, really. I can just find a space.
How very reckless.
Pop them in.
Oh, yeah.
And there you go. I've done 5 in one go there. I'm just going to explain now why I do them in clumping methods, because what happens, Elaine, once you've planted...
Could you let go of my hand, Julia? I can hold the microphone myself. Thank you.
The reason I plant in clumps is so that they're not all ready at the same time, which is what will happen with yours. So what happens is one becomes dominant, a bit like yourself, and then I twist and pull, and it leaves room for all the others to shuffle in place to let the smaller people in.
All I can say is that it's slow and steady wins the race. The proof of the pudding is in the eating.
Well, all I can say is that I'm going to have 5 ready, and you're going to have... Well, you'll still be here while I'm eating all the biscuits.
And how long ago was it that you recorded that?
I don't know. It's episode 20. Episode 20.
In the middle of the year,
Yeah, so if you want to listen in full, go back to episode 20. As with any of the extracts that we've played, go back to the episode and have a full listen. But, well, that's it for this episode.
Well, that's quite sad, really, isn't it?
Well, we just want to thank everybody who's contributed.
Oh.
And, you know, we wouldn't be able to do this without people getting in contact with us, people talking to us. Last week we played the extracts of probably famous people that we've spoken to, but we've spoken to lots of people. We've spoken to plot holders.
Yeah, that was good.
Oh gosh, can you remember Kev Plot too? Oh, we interviewed him, didn't we?
Oh, that was interesting though.
He was quite well behaved, wasn't he?
Yeah, but he was saying that he'd taken an allotment because he felt obliged to, because his dad had one. He used to help him on that, and he just felt obliged that he should, and he won't ever give it up.
Yeah, and now he feels obliged because you make him.
Yeah. Well, it just goes wrong on so many things. Yeah. Funny our world, isn't it?
Yeah. But we've had a lovely time doing this this old podcasting.
Have we?
And Once again, we want to thank Gareth for putting up with us and guiding us and
thrashing us
and
telling us off, not putting that in, editing us,
helping us with technology.
Yeah. No, doing the technology didn't help us. He's done all of it, Julia. We're not going to take any credit.
That's right.
At all.
So thank you, Gareth, for that.
Yeah, thanks, Gareth. And what about them people who download this thing?
Listen to
podcast.
Us. Yeah.
I was going to say podcast. Podcast. Okay, well, we'll say a podcast if you really like it. But no, people, over 15,000 people have downloaded us. That means that we've been in people's kitchens, living rooms, cars, bathroom,
bedrooms.
We've been all over the place, haven't we?
Yeah.
Amazing. As we always say, we'll try again next year. Draw.
Bye.
The Plotcast Podcast with the Potty Plotters is an Amberland Media production.